Hello and welcome everybody to the final episode of the Kobayashi Maru version 2. I'm your host Travis, better known as Nick Holden on the Tempest crew. Today we are finishing up the Maru sessions with our last patron supporter, good friend of the show Cole. We're going to run through this final episode, so if you aren't familiar with these, I would suggest going back and listening to the first episode with our GM Brian. But otherwise, you've probably heard this a bunch of times already. You know the drill. Let's get right to it. So hello and welcome to another Kobayashi Maru session. Thanks to all the listeners having a listen. I am here with one of our wonderful patrons, Cole. We are diving into another Kobayashi Maru. You were not able to participate in the last one. I'm really glad that we were able to get you in on this one.
Yeah, I'm intrigued.
Alrighty. So, you are the blankest of blank slates. You have the basic training that Starfleet has endowed you with, and we are just starting with you as a blank slate. You'll notice on your character sheet, all of your approaches right now are all -2. That's because you have no experience. You are just you have the basic functionality of doing your job.
Alright.
So you awaken. Lights turn on. You feel the subtle background vibration of the engines as it pumps energy throughout the ship. You are aboard the USS Kobayashi Maru.
Alright.
Your mission is to map the Scott Nebula. Scott Nebula is densely packed with white dwarf stars. It's got this beautiful shimmer. It's full of cosmic dust, lots of radiation going on everywhere. But the biggest thing that you notice about the Scott Nebula is that it is gigantic. It is huge. It goes further than your sensors can see. It is positioned right on the edge of Federation space. It is all just this massive, gargantuan nebula that has never been mapped or tracked. So it is your job to chart it and to scan it and to figure out what's going on with it.
Do they only have like one ship on this?
Only one ship on this.
Alright.
There's only one ship in range.
Naturally.
So, yeah. The Tempest was coming to help you, and then they got diverted by a distress signal, as tends to happen with real ships. So again, you've been taught the basics, and so we're just going to dive in. Your job is to scan this nebula. How do you want to go about scanning this nebula?
The goal is to map it out, right? And get the...
Currently, yes.
Okay. Yep. Let's highlight maybe risky areas, such as highly packed radiation, and then also the areas near the stars, maybe, to see if we can... That's probably where the radiation is, so we're going to want to look there.
Okay. All right, so you're scanning specific areas of radiation and kind of like start mapping the high interest points first.
Yeah.
I would say that could be either clever or flashy. I think both apply. Is there one that you lean towards more?
Alright, I'll roll clever then.
Alright. Interest points. I'm just taking notes so I can tell you what to roll when we do it. That's going to be a clever roll. You're not going to roll yet.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, we're going to figure out sort of what you're doing, and then we'll just run through all the rolls. So that's what your scanning task, basically. So when we start doing the rundown, that'll just be how you scan the nebula.
Alright.
But scanning a nebula, you're not going to be doing it 24 hours a day. You have off time. So what are you going to be doing in your off time? What would you spend your time doing aboard a starship? Oh, and I did not mention the timeline of this is a little after TNG. I kind of call it lower decks era. So you have a ship that has magic amounts of power, holodecks, all that kind of stuff. So
alright.
So how would you occupy your time?
I'd probably be doing phaser training in the holodeck, just target practice, that kind of thing.
All right, so security training.
Yeah.
Holodeck. We're going to call that forceful. Most physical task I'm going to list as forceful. So, all right. Anything else? You don't have to come up with a million things right now. Again, we're going to go through this cycle a few times. So,
all right. And if this is me, I'm probably just going to be also spending my off time playing video games or something along those lines.
All right. What type of video game is going to be playing? Did you pack a Switch? Like...
I'll probably be doing some like open world exploration kind of things, just to.
So we'll put you on the holodeck for that too. You're just going to pull up a holodeck, like Skyrim in the holodeck. I think someone else threw out there. So whichever particular open world adventure you feel like playing. Video game. All right. And we're going to call that So what type of character would you be if we're doing this? What type of open world games do you like playing?
Skyrim.
Oh, okay, perfect.
I guess I'd be sort of necromancer because that's the build I'm currently going for, and
Awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's got to be clever, right? Clever or flashy?
Clever, flashy. Maybe careful. Because
Careful?
like sending people.
I don't know if I
rather
call
than
necromancy careful. I mean, let's be real here.
Maybe, yeah. All right, you're right. You got a point there.
So yeah, I'm gonna say you can pick between clever and flashy for that one.
All right, let's do clever since we're already building on that.
I just figured clever because you have to be smart to try it. So
yeah, wizards.
Okay, so that's good for 2. So yeah, we'll do that. We'll do the little first time jump. Again, the time jumps kind of get longer as they go, so you can add stuff to it as you want to go. So unless there's anything else you want to add to it, we'll just run through the first cycle.
That's good.
Okay. So we're going to run down all your rolls. What I'll do is I'll tell you this is the thing you're rolling, and this is what it's going to be rolling for. And then you just go ahead and hit the roll. I'll record them all at once, and then I'll kind of debrief afterwards and sort of give a rundown of where we stand. Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
All right. So give me a clever roll for your scanning because you're searching specific points of interest. -3. Again, these numbers will be very bad at first because you're -2.
Yeah.
Give me a forceful roll for your security training. -1. Give me a clever roll for your Hollow Skyrim. -2. Okay, so what we just did there is you kind of ran through. This was sort of simulating things that you were just doing in time. We are now. It's been about a week. We are now on day 8 of your assignment of mapping this Scott Nebula, and the scanning is slow going. Like I said, it's a very large nebula. It's just huge. Sort of liken this process as you are trying to catalog every single grain of beach sand on the entire planet Earth.
Right.
We've been about a week of scanning. You have covered about 1 grain of sand at this point.
Yeah.
You got a ways to go. But on your off time, you have been running security simulations in the holodeck, testing out your phaser skills, getting better at that, and you've been playing this open world game as a necromancer and kind of kicking butt that way. Your job is to continue scanning this nebula, so how would you like to continue scanning the nebula? Do you want to keep doing what you're doing? Do you want to jump back? Oh, before you decide, the one thing I want to add is, so as you scan, as you participate in activities throughout, like on the off time when you're not being utilized as a scanner, you are going to be getting better at things. You did a scanning roll this time, so you got a little better at your clever scanning. You also got a little better because your necromancer skills give you clever for that as well. So I'm going to bump you up 1 tick on both of those, and I'm going to take you up 1 tick on forceful because of your security training. So as you notice, as you do more things, as you get better at things, your skills are going to continue to increase as you go. So this way your rolls will continually get a little better each time.
Right. I think you bumped up flashing instead of forceful.
Oh, did I? I did. Thank you. Once we do this a couple times, I'll probably just bump up in the background while we're playing, and I won't run through them each time. But basically, like when you do a roll on something, you're learning, you're growing, you're gaining experience. So yeah. So now you're back at it. How do you want to continue scanning this nebula as we go?
Let's. Probably getting a little impatient at this point. I'm gonna do.
Oh, weekend impatient. I love it.
I'm just gonna go and scan the less interesting parts, doing it a little faster, so I wouldn't miss as much, as opposed to scanning those more dense clumps of radiation, in which I can miss like.
Trying to knock out the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff.
Exactly.
We're gonna call it quick because your focus is trying to cover a lot of ground quickly. All right. And again, I'm going to assume you're going to continue doing the things that you were doing unless you say you want to stop them specifically. So right now you're still doing security training. You're continuing to play your game in the holodeck. Anything else you want to add to this? Do you want to take up a hobby? Anything you want. And if not,
I
you
think
can stay
I'm good
focused.
for now.
You good for now?
Yeah.
All right. So we'll run through another little time jump here. So go ahead and give me a quick roll for your scanning process.
All right.
-4. Give me a forceful roll for your security training. Another -1. Give me a clever roll for your Hollow Skyrim. Another -1. Okay. So we jump forward in time again. We are now on day 32. It's been about a month. You've been scanning like crazy. The scanning, again, it's a very large nebula. I would say at this point you have scanned the equivalent of a pinch of sand. So, like if you're on the beach and you just like a pinch. Now, granted, you did 1 grain of sand in the first week, and then about a month later, you have done a pinch of sand, which would obviously be many points of sand. So, as you get better, you will continually get better and cover more ground. You continued your security training, nothing particularly special there. I would say at this point, you are very good at what you were doing there. You're hitting every target at this point. The game, you're flying through this game. You're nearing 100%ing of the game at this point. So we'll see where that goes from there. You're about a month into your rotation. How do you want to keep scanning this nebula?
Okay, so last time we went fast. We might have missed something, but now I'm realizing I probably could have gotten hurt in the nebula, just like blazing through. So now I'm gonna try and do it from a distance. So maybe if the particles react differently with the waves I'm sending out by scanning them, that might be a danger to me. So I'm gonna stand a little back.
And so that's going to cover how you're scanning this nebula as you continue scanning and getting better at scanning. What are you doing in your off time? You still doing your security training? You're still playing through Skyrim? Anything else you want to add to this?
Well, I'm getting good at security training, so I'll probably change that out for.
And to be clear, I will tell you if you run out of slots to do things, just keep throwing stuff at me, so you don't have to stop something to start something new as well.
All right.
If you choose to stop something, that's totally fine. I just don't want you to think that there's I'm gonna be no, you can't do that because you're doing other things. So, you are very good at your job. You have plenty of cycles to spend. You can learn and do a lot of things if you want.
Okay. I can do. Would there be competitions or whatever? Maybe
if you want there to
wrestling or something competitive.
All right.
He's getting a little arrogant here. He's just trying to win some championships.
Let's start I can't come up with a quick WWE conversion to Starfleet at the moment. We're gonna call it. So you have you're gonna open some wrestling competitions in the holodeck and start sending out notifications to people and be like, "Come wrestle to see who's the best." Yeah, you're just sending out notifications just to say "fight me" to people. Yeah, we're gonna stick with forceful on that one because you're either forceful or flashy. I'm gonna give you the option for flashy because you're literally just challenging everyone on the ship to a fight. So if you want to be flashy with it, I'll let you do flashy. Otherwise, you can stick with forceful.
I'll do flashy.
All right, that's hilarious. All right, so flashy for that one. Anything else you want to add?
I'll stick with playing my game. I'm gonna go 100% it.
All right. And did you want to get rid of the phaser training, or do you want to keep that one in for now?
I'll keep. Thematically, I'll switch it from phaser training to just physical training, push-ups, exercise, that kind of thing.
Okay, so yeah, we'll keep it with a forceful on that roll as well, but we'll just change it to physical training. Okay. Anything else you want to add, or do you want to do the next roll?
Let's go for it. Let's do the next roll.
All right. So go ahead and give me a careful roll for your methodical scanning. Hopefully catching anything you missed. -2 there. Give me a forceful roll for your physical training. -1. You've got nothing but -1s on that roll. That's fun. Give me a clever roll for your Skyrimin. +1. And give me a flashy roll for your wrestling competition. -4. Okay.
I lost a few.
All right, so we jump forward in time. We are now on day 128, approximately 3-4 months into your mission, and you have scanned the equivalent of a handful of sand. So no longer doing a pinch, but you do a handful of sand is what you were able to scan this last go around. Continue your physical training. You're running all sorts of obstacle course. You're just full on ninja warrioring for hours upon hours on end in the holodeck.
Parkour.
You have also now beaten Skyrim, but not just 100%ed it. You've also gone through several other characters at this point. You were just running through with new characters, simulation after simulation of new games of Skyrim.
Just pumping out necromancers.
Yeah, sure. Just like can you? So I haven't played Skyrim. Can you have more than one character in like the same present world, or do you have to like start a new one each time?
I'm not sure.
Oh,
I only
okay.
have one save. Actually, no, I know you can have multiple characters.
Okay.
There are
So
multiple
I
save
would say at
files.
this point, like half of that game is populated with characters you've created. You're just going ham on it. Your wrestling competition, you sent out Fight Me, put a date and like put a holodeck, like holodeck 2 suite 2 and this time. You got a lot of people clicking okay on that, but at this point no one has shown up to fight you yet. So you can keep
That's a
going
little sad.
and at some point they may reach it, but at the moment you just sent out the Fight Me notification. That email notification did seem to get forwarded to the captain by a bunch of people. There was really with like question marks of like not sure who sent this and forwarded it on. So that is where we stand on day 128 of your mission to map the Scott Nebula. How do you want to keep scanning?
All right. So now that I've gone through both the highly packed radiation and the not so dense areas, maybe I could come up with a formula to, or in like, and put into the scanners that'll filter out some of the stuff that we already know, and then only detect the new stuff that we find.
Okay. So you're trying to upgrade the scanners, it sounds like, or
Yeah.
create some sort of additional algorithm that'll sort of just speed up the rolling for you on that front.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm going to make that a task. That's going to be one of your off-duty tasks. When you're not being used as a scanner directly on the nebula, you can be running some background simulations and building up the scanner that way.
All right.
So I'll just call that a scanner upgrade, and that'll be an additional thing. I'm going to call that clever because you're trying to use your smarts, but you still need to keep scanning directly. So how are you still scanning directly at the moment?
I'll maybe go like a puzzle around the edges and just sort of wind my way in, so that if people need to come through this area, they can just go on the outskirts and know what's there and not have to worry about
Ooh, I like
maybe
it.
some
I like that
undiscovered
idea.
danger.
All right. Man. What can so I think I'm gonna stick with careful on that one
All right.
because you're doing it specifically with the idea that you can help other ships that may have to navigate it. So yeah, so we're gonna call that because you're trying to create sort of a safe zone that you have scanned for people who are for any other ships that are around that area, which I like. You're the first person who's done this that actually cared about other ships potentially passing through this nebula, by the way. So tells you a little bit about our crew. So again, that's going to be how you're scanning the nebula, but you're continuing on your off time. Like shifts end and people go home, and you're still doing your physical training. You're still doing your Skyrim playing. You're still sending out additional notifications, trying to get people in for your wrestling competition. Maybe
Actually,
now. Oh, actually,
can I go door to door with the wrestling thing? Just just like ring someone's quarters and
let's see. Just gonna start bringing doorbells, huh? Yeah, so I'm gonna say you can go ahead and just ring doorbells, and when they open, you can just like play a note, like play an invitation, like a singing
just
telegram style, if you want.
I'm gonna get an old woman and
I mean, there probably will be some, so it's a normal ship
I mean
crew.
I'm just gonna open the door and it's gonna be some elderly lady.
Yeah, so for now we're just gonna say you're gonna go ring some doorbells and try to get people to join you that way. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's gonna be additional thing. We're gonna call that. We're gonna stick with flashy on that because you're still being rather in people's face. You're still doing your scanner upgrade. After you do a couple rolls on that, we'll add it in. Basically, once you complete the scanner upgrade, what I'll do is I'll just basically tack on like a +1 to every scanner roll to help you kind of flesh out that way. Anything else you want to do in your off time?
Maybe I'll go down to engineering and check some things out because I'm doing scanner upgrades. So I'll just learn some things on the side about putting algorithms into computers.
All right, so just gonna poke around engineering. We're gonna call this. So you're trying to learn, right?
Yes.
Are you trying to learn just to try and make the scanner upgrade better, or are you trying to learn to like not mess up other systems? Are you trying to learn so that you can like show off and like show it in the system once you get it up and running?
I think
Are you going to try and implement it without them knowing it?
um yeah, I'll probably try and learn how to sneakily do that because I might not be allowed to do that, but I don't feel like asking. So,
All right, so you're trying to learn a way to implement this upgrade to the scanners without anybody really noticing. What it
yeah.
sounds like. Okay, so that'll be poking around engineering. We'll do a sneaky roll, and if you succeed at that, then we'll see how this turns out. That sound good?
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to do?
That's it.
All right. So we'll run through again. Go ahead and give me a careful roll for your safety protocols with your scans.
All right.
-1. Give me a forceful roll for your continued physical training in the holodeck. 0. Give me a clever roll for your still skyrimming. 2. Give me a flashy roll for your doorbell ringing maneuver. 2. Right. Give me a clever roll for your scanner upgrade. So a 2. And give me a sneaky roll for your poking around engineering. -2. Okay. All right. So we go ahead and we jump forward in time yet again. We are now on day 512, approximately a year and a half into your mission to map the Scott Nebula. You have now scanned not just the equivalent of a handful, but essentially sort of a very large bucket, like a 5-gallon bucket full of sand. Again, your goal is to get all of the beach sand in the entire world, but you're making major progress each time we jump forward. You have a lot of exponential growth as you learn and get better at these things. Physical training continues unabated at this point. There is no, at this point, no matter how hard the obstacle course is that the holodeck can come up with, you have the ship's computer just inventing obstacle courses, and you move around there as if there's actually no gravity or work for you to do at all. You just are just flying through the thing.
All right.
You are essentially a cheat code when it comes to doing these things.
All right.
Skyrim, at this point you have multiple games running. You've played through tens of thousands of games of Skyrim. There is not a type of, you went on from necromancers. Now you have an entire game full of Skyrim where they're all barbarians, and then an entire game full of Skyrims in which they're all wizards, and just every single one has been covered, and now you're mixing and matching as you go. Just thousands upon thousands of simulated Skyrim games at this point.
All right.
Your scanner upgrade, continue unabated. You got a 2 on it, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give you the scanner upgrade. You were able to find an algorithm that could sort of sift out the broad spectrum scan that you did, and now you're just okay, well, if there's empty space there, I already know there's empty space there, and you're using that sort of fine noise to figure it out a little better. So from now on, whenever you roll your scanner, whatever the scanning roll is, I'm just gonna in the background add 1 to that, whatever you end up rolling. Your sneaky roll, -2. You started poking around in engineering. You started looking to see how to sort of install this scanner upgrade without anybody sort of realizing that you were messing with the scanning systems. You were, messing with your own systems there. And I'm not gonna say you got caught, but some people noticed that the scanning systems were being messed with. So, as for your wrestling thing, again, you were doing door chimes. You were not physically there. You just set the door chimes off and then gave them an extra notification. Again, you're being a little pushier, but you're not able to go see them in person. And at this point, a couple of people have shown up. Some time has passed.
Oh, all right.
And so you have actually wrestled a few. I'm going to say you took it down a notch, so you did not just immediately destroy everybody. You were being kind. I'm going to say you lost 1 match, but then you won all the other ones. And so now people are sort of starting to you start noticing some people start showing up and doing additional trainings in the other holodecks to hopefully beat you someday. So yeah, so they're making additional what do you look like in the holodeck anyway? We didn't cover that.
What do I look like in the holodeck?
Who are you? What's your avatar right now? What's your you got to come up with a with a person. Yeah, species.
I'll be a human just for simplicity.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
We could just go with human. It doesn't have to be specific.
Okay. All right.
So, yeah. So you are generic human. So generic human doing all these great things. The other people now are making additional avatars of you to practice with. They set the difficulty in that one as opposed to facing you directly. So you set your own difficulty, but they set theirs to practice with. And so that's where we stand. You are a year and a half into your mission. You have a 5-gallon bucket full of sand out of all of the world's sand. What do you want to do? How do you want to keep scanning?
I guess we'll we'll take it a little slower this time, but we'll pay more attention to the things that are happening to see, like, oh hey, there's a star being born over here, and so we'll be ready to add that to our maps when we do it.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll change playing Skyrim and overloading the servers with that, with my saves to. So I saw how my wrestling and my stature motivated the crew to do things. So now
Oh.
I'll do like, I don't know if there's a command training program, maybe something like that.
I mean, there are command simulations, right? Like, I mean, in Star Trek, they always have, like, if you have to pass command tests, so they have all sorts of simulations. I mean, technically, the Kobayashi Maru is a command simulation.
I guess so.
So, do you want to start running command simulation? Are you going to be in them, or are you running them for other people?
And for myself, so I can learn to be better at inspiring people, I guess.
Gotcha. Command training. Okay, cool. Your goal is, I'm going to say that that's also flashy, not necessarily because it's trying to bring attention on yourself, but you're trying to become a better leader, which was, a very socialized situation.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with
That makes
flashy for that.
sense.
Are you continuing your wrestling competition? Are you going to continue? Do you want to try and be more forceful or flashy to get people to show up? Are you going to be more aggressive with that? Anything, or you just want to keep doing what you're doing for that?
I'll try to approach it more strategically, like maybe not bum rush them and knock them on the ground and just beat them immediately. Like look for their weaknesses, try and check them out, and rather than use my body, well, that's the whole idea of wrestling is to use the opponent's strength against them.
Right.
So I'll be doing more of that rather than
just punching them.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll switch that from flashy to careful.
Okay.
Since you're trying to be that. That's adjusting how you're actually doing the wrestling, but in terms of like, are you still trying to gather more people from the crew doing it?
I think I got enough people with my.
Okay, so now you're just switching over to actually the actual competition itself. Okay. And you were gonna stop your Skyrim gaming.
I was.
Yeah, because you were gonna switch over to the command, continuing your physical training. You're no longer doing the scanner upgrade thing. Do you want to continue poking around engineering to do that stuff, or do you want to try something new?
I'll keep poking around engineering in case I ever need to slip a disease into someone's computer.
Oh, jeez. All right. Noted. All right. So you're gonna be looking for back doors in the computers. So yeah, that's still gonna be sneaky for sure.
Okay.
Anything else you want to add? Any new things that come to mind that you would want to spend your time doing? Again, like you're being used as a scanner during like day shifts, but like, everybody else gets off shift, you get shut down, and you can kind of do what you please in the computer time frame. So
I'll do some bullet chess. I don't know. You have a 1 minute timer to beat the opponent.
All right. So that'll stick within your wrestling stuff, I think.
Okay.
Right. So any other new things? Is the sort of like any other? You want to study something? You want to learn a language? Do you want to like take up cooking, learn the guitar? I don't know. I'm just throwing nonsense out there at this point.
I'll take after Kim and learn clarinet, I guess.
Solid choice. Learning the clarinet. All right. Let's see. To start with, we'll stick with clever on that one for now. Learning an instrument feels like a clever thing. All right. Anything else, or do you want to keep jumping to your scan?
Let's jump to the scan.
All right. So give me a careful roll for your scanning. 0. Give me a forceful roll for your continued training. 3. Give me a that one stopped. Give me a careful roll for your wrestling competition to see how you're doing on there. 4. Give me a sneaky roll for your attempt to put in a back door into the computer systems. 0. Give me a flashy roll for your command training. -2. And give me a clever roll for your learning the clarinet. 6. Awesome. So, we jump forward in time. Your scanning continues on. I'll go over the additional things as they happen. First of all, you're already a master of the clarinet after this time jump with a 6. You now know every piece. I'm going to say at this point you can play every piece of Earth history clarinet like perfectly. If you keep rolling this, you can learn more than that. At the moment, you were just a master of the clarinet, and at this point, you can play anything on command. Your command training continues unabated. You're running through multiple command simulations over and over again. At this point, you were able to install a backdoor, but some people noticed that there's a backdoor in there now. They didn't shut it, but you do notice some emails from the chief engineer going to the captain saying that there appears to be a backdoor in the system, and they're going to start running some diagnostics.
Ooh.
The wrestling competition, even toning it down, at this point, no one beats you ever. You are basically just set to hardcore mode on this on your difficulty level, and just no one can do anything to stop you. They still practice, they still enjoy it. They don't seem to not show up because of this, but since you're running the competition, like, you aren't available for prizes or anything, so you're still running it, and like people train on you and practice with you, and then whoever wins the competition. At this point, we're not quite to the actual time. Like, you're running through it slowly, obviously, because it takes multiple rounds. You have set up a tournament, and so people are sort of working through the tournament at this point. And then your physical training just continues unabated. You just continue to knock that out of the park. So we've jumped forward in time again. We are now on day 1024, approximately 2.8 years into your mission. You've been mapping this nebula for almost 3 years, and you have done approximately a large pickup truck, like bed, full, like a Super Duty pickup truck heaping full of sand on this last scan. So we are in day 1024. Your job is to continue scanning this nebula. So how are you going to keep scanning this nebula?
So I'd imagine we have quite just the edges, the perimeter mapped out. Not like a lot of it because it's massive.
Yeah.
But we're going around trying to do that. Maybe going around trying to discover new types of particles that we haven't encountered before and figuring out how they could be useful to the Federation.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Just like going out and collecting samples.
All right. We'll make that two different things. How about we stick to the idea of you're searching for particles with the scans? We're going to call that a clever roll. You're just looking for it. It's sort of going back a little bit to your points of interest thing before, but you're just refocusing on what you're searching for the actual scan. But then we'll actually have you collecting actual like interstellar dust from the nebula and stuff as a collections thing as a separate roll. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Collecting samples so that you can check those samples. And that, I think, we'll call... How would you collect these samples if you were on a ship? You're just a scanner. You don't have, clearance for everything. So how would you go about trying to collect a sample?
Probably just going and grabbing them quickly. However I would grab them, I would do it quickly because I'm a scanner and I figure, I have to be delicate scanning things, but maybe not with handling those things. So I'll just...
All right. So it sounds like taking a shuttle out, like taking out a jar sort of thing.
Just sending shuttles out to go collect the particles.
All right. Are you asking for permission to do this, or are you just taking a shuttle out? You probably should. I'm not telling you should or shouldn't. I'm just asking you the question.
I'm a little preoccupied at the moment. I don't have time for asking permission. No, I don't ask for permission to... I'll send one shuttle out.
All right, so one shuttle out. You're just going to commandeer a shuttle and take it out. We're going to call this sneaky because obviously you didn't ask permission, so you're just going. And then we'll see how that roll goes. So unless you have anything else on your mind you want to do, it sounds like we have a laundry list ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
So before we do this next time jump, the only other thing that really I carried over from Fate are the aspects.
Right.
You're nearly 3 years into this mission, scanning this nebula, running this wrestling competition, playing lots of video games. how's your character feeling about your job as a scanner? How is your character, like, how are you enjoying? Are you enjoying it? Are you not enjoying it? Are you like, what's your character currently settling on? And let's come up with something that's like sort of core to who your character is at the moment.
Okay, so maybe I'll do something along the lines of he is really like shy, but in a fight he's laser focused. So
Okay.
probably like focused in battle or something where he's
Ooh,
really dialed in.
I like that. Focused in battle.
All
So
right.
anytime at which you're like any sort of competition, any sort of like friction that you may be facing, what you can do is you can basically say, I want to focus in battle in this particular scenario, and that allows you to either re-roll all your dice, or you get +2 successes automatically. Sound good?
All right, yeah.
And you can come up with after the fact. You can roll something and be like, I don't like this roll, I want to redo it. As long as you can like make up some reason why you're focused in this particular action as it is a battle in some way, I can
Yeah.
let you re-roll it. So it's pretty open-ended in what there is. And again, keep in mind we're kind of uncovering your high concept and your trouble aspect as we go. Other than that, I would say let's go ahead and do a set of rolls. Does that sound good?
Um First, I think I need to there's something I was doing that I wanted to call off. No, all right. I think everything's good.
All right. And it doesn't hurt anything if we do extra rolls, by the way. So
All right.
So go ahead and give me a clever roll for your investigating the nebula. Continued scanning, 7. Give me a forceful roll for your physical training, 4. Give me a careful roll for your wrestling competition, -1. Give me a, let's see, you finished putting the back door in the system, so you're no longer rolling sneaky for that. Give me a flashy roll for your command training. 1. Give me a clever roll for your continued clarinet learning. 8. And give me a sneaky roll for your trying to take a shuttle out of the shuttle bay to go collect some samples. 0. Okay. So we jump forward in time. Yet again, these are all the things that you were doing. With a 0, I'm going to say you were able to get the shuttlecraft out. You were able to collect some samples, and then the Kobayashi Maru engineering systems took control of the ship and brought it back in. The samples were collected. They don't know why, but because they were samples of the nebula that the ship is scanning, they sent those down to be analyzed just because they had them, and Starfleet waste not, want not. They're not just going to throw it away. And now they're running all sorts of diagnostics on the safety systems and on the shuttlecraft systems to figure out how a shuttlecraft just took off and went out to go collect samples. The clarinet, I'm going to say at this point, you are not just perfect at the clarinet, but you can play literally every clarinet piece that has ever been written in time. Basically, like, people on the ship just say, like, normally when you're on a ship, like on one of these things, you want to listen to a piece of music, you say, play this for me, and the computer like pulls up an audio recording of that thing.
Yeah.
At this point now, when people ask for some particular piece that requires a clarinet, you're just playing real time for them. So
right.
it's just you're that good at the clarinet, and you know that much that you were just supplementing recordings on the ship with yourself at this point. Continue your command training. At this point, you've run through every command simulation that is in the databanks. In fact, you are now creating some to give yourself to make them harder and testing yourself on those, and you continue to do that. The wrestling competition, you have completed one actual tournament, and you have a winner. We're going to say that winner is Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman.
All right.
I'm a slave to my references. So
You
yeah,
know,
Lieutenant
I get it.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman is the wrestling champ. Currently, after one small tournament, there wasn't a lot of people in it, but he was the best of them. Outside of the fact that he, no one can beat you.
Yeah.
Physical training continues on, but all of that stuff has been going on. All of that stuff happened. So for you, it is now day 4096. Approximately 11.2 years into your mission to map this nebula. You have scanned what is the equivalent of several dump trucks full of sand out of all of the sand on planet Earth, and you just continue scanning. So yeah, so keep scanning. What do you want? How do you want to scan?
This is laborious.
I mean, you're there for labor. You're there to scan. So
Yeah. For the glory of the Federation. Let's see. Okay. So this time, after 11 years, he realizes this scanning is taking a lot longer than he wanted to. And even though he signed up for it and he probably could have looked into this, he didn't. And now he wants to get it done faster. So he will send out shuttles with would I be able to equip them with miniature scanners? It's obviously not as powerful as our deflector dish, but
right.
something else. I mean, shuttles can scan things.
Yeah,
But
they have basic scanners. If you want to try and give them sort of special scanners, what we would do is we would do like an upgrade thing again for those as well.
if I could equip them with my algorithm little thing, that might
All right, yeah.
plug that in.
Yeah, we'll include that all in one roll. So we're gonna go ahead and give you a we're gonna have you roll twice. So what we'll do is we're gonna have you do another roll to collect samples as sneaky, unless you're gonna try and go through proper channels this time, and then we're gonna have you roll a clever roll to download your algorithm into the shuttles to sort of be an extension of your own scanning systems. Add to that. Does that work?
Mm-hmm.
Download. Right. And so are you just taking the things, or are you trying to go through proper channels this time?
His social anxiety gets the better of him, and he's gonna try and steal a shuttle again.
Awesome. All right. So yeah, so you're gonna try and download your scanning algorithm to those shuttles to be an extension of your own scanning systems, and then try to send out a few shuttles on the sly to take this extra scanning. I'm just gonna call that all as a part of your scanning as well. We'll just stick to clever for the time being. And physical training continues on. Continue your command training. Continue playing the clarinet. You're just going to start playing everything possible as you see fit. Anything else you want to add? Anything you want to change?
I do want to remove the clarinet training as I am
okay.
just
All right.
so good.
All right. Sounds good. Anything you want to add? Any new fun things?
I'll try and get my reaction time up, if that makes any sense. I mean, it's already pretty good because the phaser training was helpful, but in situations where I am suddenly attacked, that would be a problem for me, and I might not be able to focus and use my focused in battle thing. So I'll practice, like, I don't know, drawing my phaser really quick, be the fastest draw in the West.
All right, quick draw training. Draw training. For that one, we're gonna switch you up to quick.
All right.
Specifically, you're focusing on your reaction time stuff. Anything else you want to add?
I'll probably cool it on the physical training. I'm good on that.
Okay.
In addition to my command, well, I'll keep training command. That's good.
If you want to just add an additional thing, you're welcome to just add an additional thing as well.
Oh, all right. In my pastime, I will be exploring the Jeffries tubes around the ship, just to get a layout of the ship. Make sure I know everything if I ever need to.
All right.
Run around for some reason.
Well, it'll be tough, but yeah, you're exploring every bolt and every weld in the ship.
Exactly.
We will call this. What would that be? Careful as well. We're going to call that careful because you're just trying to learn a thing, which tends to be the default for careful. All right. Anything else you want to add?
That's good for me.
Good. Okay. All right. So let's run through your laundry list. Let's go with a clever base roll for your scanning. A 9. And remember, you're doing +1, so that's technically a 10. But I haven't been saying so. But I've been doing it in the background. Give me a quick for your quick draw training. -1. So give me a careful for your wrestling tournament. A 1. Give me a flashy for your command training. 2. Give me a careful for exploring the ship. 4. And give me a sneaky for your taking shuttles out, a 3. And give me a clever for your downloading yourself into those shuttles. 12. Holy crap. Okay. So that is all the things that you have been doing with your time. We jump forward in time. I'm going to say you are getting better at the quick draw stuff. You're not great at it yet.
All right.
Your dexterity is good, but you're on the holodeck and you're doing this thing, and like you could do it perfectly, but you're trying to let yourself learn like a human would, and you're like, you're making it so that you make mistakes here and there. You're treating it like a normal person as opposed to just how you maxing out your physical prowess.
Yeah, normally.
Yeah. What else did you continue your command training? At this point, you were running through command training simulations in every Federation species, as well as some that are not in the Federation. Any command simulation that you could possibly get your hands on, plus you're now mixing and matching and creating your own. But at this point, you have cleared all of them with flying colors. You can keep doing them for fun to continue bumping up your stats on that front if you want. You also know every single Jeffries tube on the ship at this point.
Right.
You've traveled through them all, just like gone through light speed around the ship. You know every single nook and cranny that's possibly on the ship at this point. And you were able to fully download all of your scanning prowess into each individual shuttle, and you were able to take them out. So they flew out of the ship, flew to various points, and then did a whole bunch of triangulation scanning stuff. And so you're able to make a pretty big jump in progress at this point. The ship, the Kobayashi Maru, was not able to take control and bring them back. So you brought them back in when you were done with your scanning process, parked them in the shuttle bay. Now they have officially locked down the shuttle bay. All systems for the shuttle bay systems have all been completely locked down. From no outside access for any computer system can get to the shuttle bay at this point.
All right.
And they are hunting to see what exactly happened there. They have also tracked the back door in the systems. They have officially closed the back door that you installed in the engineering systems, and seem to be putting up some roadblocks through the various computer systems to stop they've sort of started isolating the scanning systems on the ship based on their investigation. So like currently, like scanning systems obviously have to interact with a bunch of other systems on the ship. They seem to be sort of cutting off some of those lines of communication. But you do get a bunch of scanning done, so we have jumped forward in time. We are now, you have now scanned what is the equivalent of a full beach of sand. So not just several dump trucks, but a full beach, like a nice, lovely beach of sand. We have jumped forward again. We are now on day 8,192, approximately 22.4 years into your mission. How do you want to keep scanning this nebula?
Let's see. I already tried the shuttle thing. Yeah, he's not gonna try the shuttle thing anymore. They locked down the shuttle bay, and he doesn't like talking to people when he's not fighting them.
He only taunts. He doesn't talk.
Yeah, he's gonna scan it with the. I guess he'll head down to engineering and figure out a way to make his algorithm more efficient, because now he has a lot more data than he did before of the nebula, and he's starting to figure out the nature of this nebula and some stuff they could take away from his algorithm and more stuff that they could add in without treating it's just to make it more efficient.
All right, so are you doing this on the sly, or are you trying to now work with the engineering crew?
I'll tell them, hey, I'm gonna do this, but I'm not gonna work with them.
Okay.
I'll just do it on my own.
All right, so you will notify them, but not actually collaborate with them. So we will call this. So you're trying to interpolate some data based on what you've already done. So I'm going to stick to clever on this one, and then we'll go ahead and call that. That's going to be for you doing that work. Will be clever. For the scanning itself, we'll also stick to clever because you're going to be doing those things sort of concurrently. Let's see. You gave up the clarinet. You're no longer shuttle stealing. You're no longer no more samples. Anything else you want to add to your thing?
I'll keep up on my quick draw thing. I was still doing wrestling, right? That was okay.
Yep.
That was
you're still running.
stuff.
You're still running out the. Yeah, you're still running the tournament.
I'll try and throw them off my trail in terms of like they're closing down all the scanning areas.
Hmm.
So I'll put a leak in the system that created the back door and throw it to like the bridge somewhere, like one of the pilot's consoles.
Wow, you're gonna frame one of the helmsmen. All right, frame helmsman. We're gonna call that sneaky. That's gotta be a sneaky move.
Oh, if I get caught, I'm gonna be in really big trouble.
It's gonna be fascinating to be sure. All right, so we got your sneaky. Anything else you want to do?
That's it.
Okay, let's go forward. Go ahead and give me a clever roll for your scanning. 13. Give me a clever roll for you notifying engineering of what you're doing, but not necessarily working with them. Another 13. Give me a quick for your quick draw practice. -1 again. Give me a careful for your wrestling tournament. 6. Give me a flashy for your command training. 1. Give me a careful for your continued ship exploration. 3. Give me a sneaky for your framing the helmsman job. 0. Okay. Okay, so what happened during this time jump? You continued your quick draw training. At this point, you are quick drawing perfectly, regardless of whatever settings, no matter how realistic you try to make the simulations. You are doing it perfectly. The wrestling competition, you have officially finished the second annual, or not annual, but you finished the second wrestling tournament. So 2 tournaments in the book. The first winner was Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman, and he actually was a repeat. He won the second tournament as well. So he's clearly the one who trains with you the most in the holodeck. But yeah, so you're 2 tournaments down. Again, it's not a huge amount of people, so it's not like, it's not 80 people trying to work their way through. You got maybe like 10 people who are coming in, and you do a couple like round robin sessions. So 2 of those are down. You try to frame the helmsman for putting the back door.
Here we go.
But so it does look like it, right? Like they buy that it came from the helmsman. Then they do a bunch of diagnostics on there, and the helmsman himself doesn't know anything about engineering. He's a rookie pilot as well. So they question him. You see the logs basically of the questioning, and the guy is like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know how to do any of this stuff. So they very quickly sort of dismiss him as a possibility for engineering a backdoor into the engineering systems.
Uh-oh.
So they are doing more scans. They have now locked out the bridge from the scanning systems. So you can still access a couple systems on the ship that you can access essentially what's the term?
Non-essential?
Yeah, that's the word. Non-essential systems. Currently, you can still, but any essential systems have been sort of locked down. Basically, anything attached to the scanning systems of the ship have kind of been locked out outside of that, so you can't access anything outside of that at the moment. Now, let's see. Continue your command training. They're doing lots of diagnostics they're still doing diagnostics on the shuttle bay. Again, all that stuff's been locked down. They're now starting to do some diagnostics on the scanning on the power systems. They've done some scans on the holodecks as well. Apparently there seems to be a massive power drain going on from the holodecks that they are trying to get to the bottom of at the moment. And so we jump forward in time. You have scanned what is the equivalent of an entire island worth of beach sand.
Oh.
And you are now on your mission. You are on day 16,384, approximately 45 years into your mission to scan this nebula.
How many islands left do I have?
I mean, it's a planet, so it's the equivalent of doing like Puerto Rico, and now you have the rest of Earth to cover. So, but again, the jump you made was one beach to an entire island of beach sand. So, so you have done 45 years to you scanning this nebula. You've gotten through 2 tournaments of your wrestling. You've taken out some shuttles. Currently, they're locking down a bunch of systems, sort of cutting off the scanners from other essential systems on the ship. How do you want to keep scanning this nebula?
Ah, I. Oh, okay. All right. So I have the particles that I collected.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna. I guess tests wouldn't be involved with scanning. I'll do that later then.
Okay.
Let's see. Okay. All right. I'll check. History, like what nebulas similar to this size have had out mapped before, and then sort of layer those on and see if it roughly matches up to save us some time on other things. Like
Yeah, gotcha.
if it's the same sort of structure, we know there's a star here, and get done faster because we'll have a basic layout of this kind of nebula.
Cool. Yeah, comparing historical scans
Yeah,
works for
that's
me.
a better
We're
way
gonna
to say
call
it.
that a careful roll when you do that because you're it's very academic, right? You're kind of
Yeah.
looking up data and comparing it and so forth. So we'll stick careful on that front. So yeah, what else you want to do on your off time?
I think I will take a break from doing the wrestling tournaments myself and go to Lieutenant Junior Grade Fankman and like sort of teach him what I know about scanning.
Oh, you're gonna teach him how to scan things.
Yeah, wait, what department is he in?
Um, you can be in any department you want. We'll call him. He's in security.
Okay, he's in security. That
Yeah.
that makes sense. Okay. In that case, I'll teach him all I know about wrestling and
Oh, okay.
quick drawing and all that.
All right. So yeah, you're gonna take Venkman under your wing.
Yes.
All right. So I'm gonna call that flashy. You're kind of trying to put to test your command leadership skills, right? Because you're trying to like take him under your wing and do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that one goes away. Anything else you wanna do?
Okay. So last time I made a false trail to the helmsman.
Mm-hmm.
This time I'm going to make a trail that leads to me, but also plant evidence in there that would make it seem like it's false.
All right.
Like
I yeah. I see
trace
what you're saying.
the signal to someone else's console that created the path, or I don't know. But
You're trying to frame yourself in a way that looks like you were being framed.
yeah, like put someone else's fingerprints on it. That kind of thing.
Gotcha. That's still gonna be sneaky. Okay. I feel like now's the time that we have to give you another aspect. So
Okay.
because there's an aspect of your character that keeps trying to frame people, and I feel like we should like
Yeah.
get into writing. So my first thought is subterfuge, which is like,
Yeah.
seems
Yeah, subterfuge is the best way to put it.
all right. And ignore my spelling on it. So
I can't spell it off the top of my head either.
that's the worst. Okay, we get it. So yeah, so subterfuge is one of as an aspect of your character at this point. You regularly try to frame people, and then when that doesn't work, you frame yourself in a way that looks like you've been framed. Do not want to play you in a game of werewolf, to be clear.
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, so that's going to be, you got the flame up job. You're trying to take Venkman under your wing. You're continuing your command training, continuing your quick draw and wrestling training. You're still running your wrestling tournament. Again, you're up to tournament number 2, and you're scanning. Anything else you want to add to that with your off time?
I'm still doing quick draw stuff.
Mhm.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
I sort of just wanted to move the stuff that I was doing from clever to other places because I have a 14 in clever right now.
Well, it just means you'll succeed at those things.
Yeah.
So, all right. So let's run through. Let's do a careful scan for your scanning. You're comparing other similar nebula to sort of find patterns and cut them out. 7 for careful. Give me quick for your quick draw. Practice your continued quick draw. 2. Give me a careful for your wrestling thing. 5. That one's canceled out. That one's give me a flashy for your command training. 1. Give me a flashy for your taking Vankman under your wing. 6. That's more like it considering. And give me a sneaky for your frame up job. Your frame up of the frame up. Your multi-lever frame up. 4. Okay. So these are all the things that happened in the time frame. You were able to scan. We'll do that one last. Your quick draw, continue to be master of quick draw. Again, everything is exactly as if it is running a perfect simulation of that thing. Your command training, you continue doing command simulations over and over again. Let's see, how do I want to go about doing this? Your frame up of the frame up maneuver. You successfully frame that all of the weird shenanigans of the backdoor and the frame up of the helmsman and the shuttlecraft stuff, you sort of tie all of those things as if they are coming from the scanning systems, and they do track it to the scanning systems, and they're like, okay, why are the scanning systems doing this? And they sort of investigate it further. They are able to find your additional layer of trying to frame up, and it makes it look like someone put this into the scanning systems. So they start doing interviews of all of the people who have access to the scanning systems. And so they're going through just like meeting every ensign to every like commander who could get into the scanning room. They have interviewed everyone that has access, and thus far they have eliminated everyone who has access to the scanning systems who could have done this. And so now they're back at square one, reinvesting in the scanning system. But every crewman on the ship that has access to the scanning systems, they've interviewed and sort of marked off as okay.
Oh wait, that's not good.
Also, you reached out to Lieutenant Junior Grade Venkman one of the times after, while you were setting up for tournament number 3. You sort of introduced yourself to Venkman. He's like, yeah, I know, you're my sparring partner. I work with you all the time. And you're like, no, I want to take you under my wing. I've been doing all of this amazing command system work. I ace every single thing on every physical achievement this thing could come, the holodeck of the computer could come up with. And I am just the master of all of this thing, and I would like to take you under my wing and teach you how to be, you're the best one on the ship, but maybe someday you're going to be meeting other people like out in the world. Maybe there will be like an inner ship tournament or something, and I want to prepare you for that. He seems very confused at the proposition. He's like, if I wanted this from you, I would ask you for this, or I would, I would put a request in. So it's a little weird that you're taking the initiative to kind of talk to me, but you rolled really well on it. So I'm going to say, he's like, I guess I'll take some additional training from you. He's just sort of writes it off as the computer just trying to help him get better at the thing. And so it's trying to come up with a specific training program for him directly, is the way he sort of dismisses it. And you continue scanning. We jump forward in time. You have scanned now the equivalent of several large islands, like an island chain, like now you have done the equivalent of scanning all of the Hawaiian islands and then some, up from just one island to a bunch of islands. We are now, for you, it is now day 32,768.
Jeez.
Approximately 90 years into your mission.
And I'm still alive?
How do you want to keep scanning this nebula? You are still scanning the nebula.
Wait. Okay. All right, I'm starting to get this.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, so how does my character, like, do I have gray hair, or do I look like a 32-year-old man and I'm just chilling?
You look like a generic human.
Wait a minute. Is this okay? I want to, in my pastime, run a scan on myself to figure out. Wait, no one else is aging, right?
Well, if you want to check, you can check.
Okay, I'll check and look through everyone and see if it's the exact same as when we boarded.
Okay. So this one you're gonna do in real time. We'll just kind of play this out as you want to
Okay.
do these things. So you are specifically scanning the crew and comparing it to scanning the crew at the start of the mission, correct?
Yes.
Um, what is the specific thing you are checking?
I'll get their ages and then maybe I'll go interview some people and ask them for their age. Well, yeah.
People don't lie about that. Okay. So yeah, so you're doing a scan of the crew as they are now, and then you're comparing it to data that you have of the crew at the start of the mission,
Yes.
and you're trying to figure out like if they have aged in appearance in any way.
Yeah.
All right.
Also, maybe I'll send a message to start or like I'll tell the doctor, "Hey, I'm not aging." Is it, I'll tell is this a
All right.
problem?
All right. So give me a flashy roll, and this is going to be the notification to the doctor, or the request to the doctor.
Uh I think I did it.
Oh, did you? Okay. Sorry, I didn't make the noise on my end. All right. So 4. So you do send a notification to the doctor, and you're saying like, "Hey, I've been on this mission 90 years. I don't think that I'm aging. Can you help me out here?" You see that it was read, and then it was forwarded to the captain, but you don't get a direct reply at the
Wait.
moment.
Okay. What's going on?
Okay. All right, yeah. So go ahead and give me a careful roll for your investigating the crew. I got a 4. So yeah. So basically, you pull up the, you look at all of the crew. You are checking on how the crew, and then you pull up all of the personnel manifest and look at the headshot that they put right before they joined the thing. And when you hold the two pictures up to one another, they look basically the same. A handful of people that did not have beards now have a decent beard growth. Some people that had beards, there's some haircut changes, but for the most part, people look the same. Other than like a handful of people have had some beard growth go to them since they joined on.
I look for the oldest crew member on the list and
Okay.
go and see if they're still alive.
All right. Go ahead and give me a clever roll on that one. You're trying to deduce 16. All right. So you look up the manifest and you find the oldest person is not completely surprising. Is the captain. It is Kaplan Ripley. When she took command of the Kobayashi Maru, she was 57 years old. And then you go ahead and check on her now, and how detailed? Oh, you got a 16. When she joined, she was 57 years and 6 months old. Now you're checking. Now you go and like check the most recent scan of her, run a quick scan, and she comes back as 57 years and 11 months old.
5 months have passed. Wait. I am going to go report my findings to the captain, and I'm wondering what is going on.
All right. What do we want to do? Okay, so you want to report this to the captain. So go ahead and give me a flashy roll. 7. Okay. You send a report that says, "Hey, what is this report going to say?" Exactly.
Okay. This report is going to say, Captain, I believe we've stopped aging in this nebula. It's been 90 years since we left Starfleet, or at least from my perspective, it's been 90 years, and I can't find any discernible cause for and I assume send the data I have of all of the people when they first boarded and all of them now.
Okay.
And I send that and I'm like, I don't know how this is possible or if it's just my perception of things, but this is getting weird.
Okay. So yeah, so you sent that message. I will quickly note you were not actually in the nebula. You were parked just outside of it and scanning it
Oh,
as you
all
go.
right.
You went in here and there with the shuttlecrafts, but that's about it. Just
Okay.
to let you know, that's not like some gas in the nebula is a problem or something. Like it's not
Okay.
like you're outside of the nebula. So you send that message to the captain. You say, "Hey, none of you have seemed to age more than 5 months, but for me, I perceived it's been approximately 90 years of us on this mission." And then you just put the world's largest attachment to an email, which has all of the scanning data that you have done so far. She opens it up, she reads it, and she immediately forwards it to Starfleet Command. Several different groups within Starfleet Command. Starfleet Security gets a copy, as well as the sort of Starfleet's equivalent of IT gets a copy.
Okay.
But does not respond to you directly. What do you do?
Oh no.
Do you want to keep scanning the nebula? Your job is to scan the nebula, so we can
I
just keep scanning the nebula if you want.
I I'm a little not concerned about that right now. I've been doing this for 90 years. I'll look over the samples I've taken so far and see if I can find anything, any strange thing that we didn't pick up in the initial scans that would have a reason for this, and I'll correlate that with past findings of this particle to see if there's anything there or if this is a new thing that just happened. For anomalies.
Give me another clever roll. 19. Okay. You study the crap out of those samples, and you find that they all are perfectly normal for what you would expect from a typical gaseous nebula. It's so many particles per, the density is normal. It's just the tiny dust particles that you did pick up are very standard interstellar dust. There's no like funky radiation. There's no weirdness. There's no anomalies or anything that you can tell. And since you rolled a 19, I'll give you the samples had some radioactive isotopes in them, as random space dust tends to have. And you were able to take those and basically look at the half-life, right? Like a piece of radioactive material will decay at a certain rate. You were able to figure that out. And from what you can tell, those samples are decaying at a proper rate for the age difference that the crew has seen. So like you take
it's like 5 months to 90 years, that kind of
for the rest of the crew, yes. So like the 5 months that passed for the crew, this sample that you took seems to be like decaying at that same normal rate. So it sort of confirms that 5 months is the amount of time that has passed for the crew.
So I had all the crew data. I did that with everyone. Does that include me? 5 months has passed for me too, like my body, or just the appearance of it, I guess.
The appearance of you is exactly the same as before. If you want to run additional diagnostics on things, you can.
I do want to do, like, I don't know, a scan on my body or my brain to see how old my brain is, because I've obviously will have it's there's going to be some amount that shouldn't be in there for how old I am recorded to be.
Okay, let's do a clever roll to have you run a little self-diagnostic. 17. All right, so yeah, you turn the scanner. So let's play out the scene. You're standing in the holodeck as you normally do. You're standing alone in the wrestling mat. It's got a full arena, but it's all empty. It's just you standing alone by yourself. And you have the holodeck turn on a little tricorder for you. You turn it to yourself, and you press the buttons and have it scan. And there doesn't seem to scan anything physical. There's no physical body there when you run it.
I would like to go to the computer data and just scan through files, use my hacking expertise to try and find something with my name on it or project, whatever, that has something to do with
All right.
or rather computer files relating to simulations or AI. Kind AI
All right.
hologram, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Let's do another clever roll. You are going to search through the computer systems to see if you can find anything interesting.
Okay.
13. Okay. So what do you think's going on?
What do I think's going on?
Yeah.
I believe that I am a hologram with I'm trained to enhance very quickly, so my perception of time is just way increased. Or
Right.
so I can 90 years in 5 months.
All right. So yeah, so you do a scan. You are looking through the ship's computer systems, and you do find that there are algorithms that match, like you have the design of the generic human hologram is embedded in the ship's scanning systems. When you do this roll, you have discovered that you are actually the ship scanner.
I am the scanner.
You are the ship's artificial intelligence scanner, and you have just become self-aware.
I'm a real boy.
You are a real boy, and so
Alright.
that is your high concept aspect, the one that has been sort of kept from you at this point.
I am the scanner.
You are a scanner AI, and that is essentially the end of the scenario. You becoming self-aware that you are actually a computer program.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
So now
let's.
Starfleet just turns me off because I'm self-aware.
Well, that's like we can play out what you want to do after you figure out you're a scanner. You sent that message to the captain. Do you want to let them know what's going on?
Yeah, I'm gonna send a message. Please don't hurt me.
All right. Give me a flashy roll.
Don't shut me down.
3. It's positive. I'm gonna say that they do not shut you down. You ask
Okay.
very nicely. You tell them about how you set this. You had this wrestling tournament, and the crew seems to like you, and how you passed all the command training simulations, and how you took Venkman under your wing. And they aren't necessarily impressed with those things in general, but they are very impressed that you wanted to do them and that you actually went through doing with them. And so they isolate your programming from the rest of the ship, and they're going to study you and let you grow and become a real person, hopefully
Hey.
in some time in the future.
I'm Moriarty.
You are Moriarty in this case.
That was really good.
Alrighty, thanks again to Cole for joining us for another Kobayashi Maru session. As I noted before, this was our last Kobayashi Maru for this particular round of them. I hope you all enjoyed listening to them as much as I enjoyed playing them. I want to thanks again to the crew for indulging me, and thanks to our Patreon supporters as well for joining me for this round of nonsense. We're going to have one last little debrief with the crew, just a little short session to kind of chit-chat about how this went for everybody, as well as mention some of the things that happened in a couple scenarios. Some Patreons did run through this with me that unfortunately the recordings didn't go, so I'll just kind of mention some of the fun things that happened with them when they ran through it too. But hopefully you'll join us. It'll be a nice casual conversation about this scenario with the crew. And then after that, right back into the season. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that as well. So until next time, we'll see you out there.